Sahil here. I just want to show you my latest upgraded guitar. It's my Squire Strat, and after a lot of hard work, as some of you may have seen the pictures on my Instagram account. If you haven't subscribed, click on the link below and subscribe today. So I'm so happy with the end result of this guitar that I wanted to do a video on it, and to help people who have Squires, who have lower end Strats, and want to do something to improve the tonality, improve the versatility of the guitar, the playability of the guitar. And there's some basic tips and there's some expensive mods, but they all help. You know, at the end of the day, every one of them is important for you as a guitar player to incorporate in your life. Now, when I got this guitar, it's simple to say. It's a Chinese-made guitar. It's cheap. I paid $150 for it in India, 9,000 rupees. Well, I didn't pay. It was a gift from my wife. So it had a lot of sentimental value. Now, I have a made in Mexico Strat that plays like a dream. When I say plays like a dream, it's got a maple neck. It's beautiful. I put David Gilmour pickups on it, the EMG entire pickguard set. And it's my go-to guitar. But you know, I never sold this guitar because of sentimental value, and for a long time it would just lay in the cupboard, and I would be like, man, what am I going to do with it, you know? And I just didn't want to sell it, but I just couldn't play it. Why? Because every time I'd whammy on it, I'd use the whammy bar, the damn thing would go out of tune, and I'd play a note and it'd go sharper, or it'll go, you know, flat, and it was like very, very irritating. So after a lot of consultation with many guitar techs and with a lot of YouTube videos, you know, I understood what was going wrong. And the first thing is the block, the whammy bar and the block that was used in the original guitar was made of something called tin metal, okay? And it doesn't sustain that well, and it also it was shoddily built. So I really needed to upgrade that. So a friend of mine was coming from America, and I asked her to buy me this brass block. You can see it's from Guitar Fetish, and it comes with four springs, but I only use 3 because I like less tension on the whammy bar. And my made in Mexico pick guard and pickups, I basically put them on this guitar. That was a lot of work, but it was amazing, and these pickups sound incredible compared to the bad, poor Squire pickups. Now, a lot of the Squire pickups, whether you know it or not, are not really copper wound. It's got a copper alloy in it, and it just doesn't sound at all the same. And they're cheap ceramic, copper alloy pickups, and they just sound terrible. And these are like properly wound copper Alnico pickups, and you know, you can even see with the hardware, it's a dream to play. It's well constructed, it's incredible, and I'm just overwhelmed with this pickup and with these pickups and this pick guard. Now this brass block was a lot thicker than the original one. The original one was basically, the height was, the width was still here, okay? And it was a little bit lower in height also as well. So what I had to do was, I had to take 60 grit sandpaper, and then later on 100 grit sandpaper, and create the cavity so that when I use the whammy bar, it can go to the edge and not hit the edge. So I had to take out a little bit, and as you can see, the paints come off, and I've basically smoothened the edges. And so it's not touching any part of the guitar over there. Only when it really dive bombs to the end will it touch the guitar. So that was a lot of work, but it was worth it. And I've had to take out the back plate as well, because the height of the block was slightly more. Now, Guitar Fetish, where I bought this from, makes brass blocks for Squires, but there are many types of Squires, you know, made in different countries. And the original, the good Squires basically were made with a deeper body. This is a thinner body made in China. So they basically created the brass blocks according to those dimensions. But it's okay. I mean, you have to adjust somewhere. So I took out the back plate, and I still love it. It looks cool. And yeah, and I put the pickups, the new pickup, the MIM pickups on it. And then the next thing, the tuners. Oh my God, those tuners were so bad, because you'd have to literally like wind to get a little bit of traction, get a little bit of action going on the strings. It was a nightmare, and it would just not stay in tune. So I went and bought some of the most expensive locking tuners on the market, the Graphtec ratio tuners. There's the box. There it is. It's from their company from Canada, and man, oh man, these tuners are awesome. Okay, you can see, you open it to unlock it, and you close it to lock it. All you need to do is just put your string in, take it through, lock it up, and wind it, and that's it. You're done. So I mean, with a couple of winds, with one wind, you've got a tuned string. It's incredible. And these are staggered in height. So what happens is, it moves along with the neck so beautifully. So there's not, it doesn't get out of the nut slots, and also it maintains its tuning stability. It's so good. I can't tell you how wonderful this guitar is playing now. The other thing I had to do was the holes on the original Squire. The Squire tuners are slightly smaller in width than these ratio tuners. Now, these ratio tuners are supposed to fit into Squires, but again, which Squire, which country, you're going to land up having to do some work basically. Come on, man. You may think you're going to get drop-in ones. These ones dropped in perfectly into my Made in Mexico Strat, but they didn't fit in my Squire. Nowadays, not many people are using hand tools. They're using these, drill bits. But don't use a drill bit, because if you use a drill bit on your neck, you're going to crack it. You're going to crack a part of the finish. My suggestion is use a reamer. If you don't have a reamer, take 60 grit sandpaper, make like a conical shape out of it, is what actually I did because I didn't have a reamer, and go through it like that. That's it. That's all you got to do. Wear protective hand gear and just go through it on all the strings, make the holes bigger. After you're done with 60, use 100. So it smoothens it out a little bit, so that it's easier for you to put the tuners in. That took me a day for this entire neck. It was like a lot of work, but it paid off in the end. And now they're in place, and they're incredible. So I took care of the tuners, the bridge, pickups, and the other thing that was really causing the guitar to not hold its tuning was the nut. Now, I had thought about changing the nut a lot, and then somebody said that, instead of I've spent probably 3 times on the upgrades than what the guitar is worth. But somebody told me that why don't you use, instead of changing your nut, use graphite to increase the lubrication at this point. So what you do is you take a basic graphite pencil like this, and the ones that come out, and you just basically write into it. That's it. And once you've got enough graphite in the holes, you put the string back in, and that lubricates that point. So what happens here is, even if you dive bomb, like, it comes back into tune because of the lubrication over here. Now, if you don't want to use graphite and you want to use something that's clear, there's something called nut sauce. It's available online, and it's got Teflon in it. It will ease the string tension over here as well. Now, after you've done the mods, then you're going to have to make sure that your guitar plays in tune and your guitar plays smoothly, and you want to make sure your neck is straight. Now, you've got to get one of these rulers. Now, these rulers, what they do is they're made for different guitar types. Now, you've got 2 sides. One is for your Strat, which we call the long guitar scale, 25.5, and the short guitar scale, 24.75 or 24.5. For those ones, the shorter ones are for like the Les Pauls, and the longer ones are for your Strat style guitars, your Super Strats, so on and so on, yada yada yada. And you put that from your 2nd fret down like this. And if your guitar is straight on a flat surface, you keep it on a flat surface like that. And if it doesn't move, you got a straight neck. If you don't have a straight neck, take your Allen key, put it inside. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Now, lefty-loosey means the more you loosen it, the straighter your neck will become, like this. And the more you tighten it, the more the neck will go like this. That means this goes down if it's tighter, and this goes up if it's looser. It's very simple. So if you've got a neck where your guitar currently is going down too much, then you got to loosen it so it straightens up a little bit. If it's too high like this, then you got to tighten it so it comes down. So that's your neck straightening done. Now, after you've straightened your neck, you need to find your trouble spots. Now, there are two things that can go wrong on a Squire, which I've seen. One is the fret heights are uneven, and two, fret sprout. Luckily, by God's grace, my guitar didn't have any fret sprout. But it can happen sometimes. Like you take your finger across your board like this, and if you find any sharp spots, it means that the fret has outgrown the fingerboard. It's not actually outgrown the fingerboard. The fingerboard has shrunk. The wood has shrunk, and the metal is like now jutting out. Sometimes on Gibson guitars, on Gibson copies, I would say, not even Gibson guitars, I've seen the frets come out of the binding area there, out of the lacquer. You can see the lacquer being cracked, and the fret comes out. Yeah, so for fret sprout, what you need is one of these. Okay, this is a tool from Stu Mac, and the serial number is 1175 for this product. Basically, if your fret's longer, the first thing you need is to sand it down so that it comes into line, and then you have to smoothen out the edges so that it's well rolled. Now, how do you roll it? You basically take it, do 3-4 passes like that with this on one side, and on that side again 3-4 passes, and then on top roll it a little bit. There's on this particular product, there's a round side. You use that and go across it, and voila, you have a perfect fret. The second issue is the fret height. Now, for the fret height, you need to get one of these tools. This is called a fret rocker. Now, this is incredible. It's got 4 sides to it from Stu Mac, because I love those guys. Those guys are the best. And all you have to do is, the longer side, there are 4 sides to it, the longer side is for the higher frets. Just position it like that, and if it rocks, that means that fret at that point is higher than the other two. Whichever fret's in the middle, that's the one you're positioning. That's the one you're checking for. So you do this, and as you get down to the lower frets, you'll see over here, if you keep it like that, and if it rocks, that means it's not straight. That means you have to mark it. Now you take a marker pen and you mark that area. You have to do this for all the 6 positions on every fret if you really want a perfect sounding guitar. That's what I did with this one. You mark it off, and then later on, when you've taped up your entire board and you get to sanding, that's the area where you have to sand a little bit more with the lower grit sandpaper. Once you've marked out the points, you can take a tool like this. Robert, this is a sanding block, or a tool like this. Now this tool, you get these from Stu Mac as well. You can get these from any Chinese site. They've got 2 sides. One's like much more lower grit and one's higher grit. The lower grit will eat away the metal part, so that you put it on that and you eat it away. And the higher grit will basically smoothen it out. Once that's done, then you need to take either high grit sandpaper, like maybe 400 grit, or maybe this is a better option, steel wool, and just give it a super shine. Once you've given it a super shine, the frets will just look incredible. They'll play amazing. I do an overkill after I've done the fret shine. I use this. This is a product from Nomad. It's called Fine Fret Polish. There's a guy in a shop in India who doesn't have Nomad. He uses Colgate tooth powder. It actually works, and it gives the frets a really good shine. So you've got both those options. Some people just use steel wool, and that's it for them. That's enough. Once your fret's done, once your fretboard is finished, I would suggest you condition the fretboard. There are a lot of people who say, no need, man, don't put any oil on that board. You'll kill it. The frets will sprout out. It'll get damaged. Well, all the top companies in the world recommend fretboard conditioning. Gibson, Fender, everyone can, all of them recommend it, and they have their own brands of fretboard conditioning. I personally, I use the F1 oil from Nomad. I'm not an endorsee of Nomad, but I love their products. I think they're fantastic. It's not got any lemon oil on it, which is a contentious point because everyone talks about lemon oil being bad, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So I use something that's got no petroleum or no wax in it, and it conditions the board. I clean out the board with it. It looks incredible once it's done. Okay. And I do this once in 6 months for all my guitars, not more than that. Okay. Now, supposing you don't want to change your block, you don't have the money, you don't have the resources, you want to do something with this. This is terrible for you. You're not having fun with it. It's not staying in position. It's moving around all over the place. It's not a high quality block. It's not a high quality whammy bar. So there are two options. One is you buy a spring. Now this will work in the made in Mexico guitars. This will not work with the Squire guitars. Okay, because the Squire guitars, the cavity where you wind in the whammy bar, it's too small. So what you can do is you can buy something called plumber's tape, okay, and apply it on this is what I did in the beginning before I upgraded my block. You apply it on the ridges like that, and then you put it into the hole, and you find that the tremolo bar stays in place wherever it is. It doesn't move around so easily. That's a free tip. The other thing after you've done your fretboard conditioning is take some guitar body cleaner, clean up your guitar, maybe put some wax, buff it out. That's fine. I do that once in 6 months. That's great. The other thing I did for this guitar, why I really love it, is that pull on that third string is incredible. Jimi Hendrix used the same gauge strings that I put on this guitar. You get these are specialized strings from GHS, Guitar Boomers. It's a 10 to 38 set, and the third string is a lot lighter than our normal third string, and boy oh boy, it plays incredibly well. I would recommend this set for any Strat player. Have a go at it, man. It's incredible. It's really worth it. And if you do all these things, keep these things in mind, I'm sure whatever Strat you already have can play better, or you can take your instrument to a whole new level. I wish you all the best, and I will do a separate video about guitar intonation and string height. I do have a Patreon page that allows me to make these videos, and do support me by becoming a patron today. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. I'm looking to make many more videos in the future, and as well I have two more YouTube channels, SSJ Productions and SSJ Productions Spiritual. These are my company YouTube accounts, and a lot of my music is on those two accounts, and hopefully I'll see you very soon.